Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Sai Ram. Welcome back to the narration. At story time, and we are discussing about the exemplary qualities of Yudhishthira. Yesterday, we have seen his magnanimity and how Bhimsen defeated Duryodhana. Let's continue. At the end of the war, when Yudhishthira being coronated to the kingdom, when Dhritarashtra and Gandhari began to live with him, he treated them in such a way that they forgot the bereavement of their own sons. They afforded them such comforts as could not be provided with even by their own sons. He sought their advice in managing the affairs of the state and would find out time to serve them. His mother Kunti, Empress Draupadi, with her daughters in law, served Gandhari, the revered lady. He was always on the alert that no such occurrences should take place in their presence as might arise in their hearts sorrow for their deceased sons. Yudhishthira became much grieved when, towards the end of their lives, they decided to dwell in forests. With great difficulty, he himself became ready to follow them to the forest. But with great difficulty, Vyasji tried to bring him round, only that he agreed to send Dhritarashtra and Gandhari to the forest. Nevertheless, Kunti Devi did follow her husband's brother and his wife to the forest, lived in their company till the end of attending on them, and breathed her last with them also. Before leaving for the forest, Dhritarashtra decided to perform for the last time in the prescribed manner Shraddha ceremony in favor of his dead sons and other relatives, and also decided to give away unlimited charities to the Brahmanas for their sake. When Yudhishthira learnt about his desire, he sent word through Vidurji along with Arjuna that his all including his life were at his disposal. He made necessary arrangements to enable him to spend money more liberally than he desired. Under such circumstances, Dhritarashtra very ceremoniously performed Shraddha for the sake of his relatives and gave away charities to Brahmanas to the satisfaction of his heart. At the order of Dhritarashtra, Yudhishthira literally let the money flow from the royal treasure like a river. Those who were ordered to be given hundreds were given a thousand. When Dhritarashtra and Gandhari set out for the forest, the Pandavas, along with their queens, went a long way to see them off. It was the work of none else but of an exalted soul like Yudhishthira to try his best to provide the amenities of life till the very end and entertain in his heart such firm love for the self same Dhritarashtra on whose account he had to pass through a number of tiring trying circumstances, on whose account he was deprived of his hereditary rights and had to undergo the hardship of banishment more than once, and again in whose presence Draupadi, the paragon of chastity and devotedness to her husband, was humiliated in the crowded assembly hall by his sons and was reduced to abject poverty, who refrained from giving him even 5 villages, which resulted in such a terrible massacre of number of men on both sides. The example of entertaining such goodwill, even for one's enemy, is rarely to be found in the history of the world. Still extraordinary was King Yudhishthira's affection and love for those taking refuge in him. He was greatly shocked to hear about the departure of Lord Sri Krishna to his supreme abode and the extermination of the Yadavas. He began to reflect that the happiness of kingly life was of little avail to him, nay, meaningless is even to sustain this life, since Lord Krishna, who was his own kith and kin and well wisher, and by whose grace he had achieved everything, had departed from the world. Let alone the consideration of Sri Krishna, who was the very life breath and the be all and end all of the life of the Pandavas, who were totally dependent on him in every matter. He was so deeply shocked at the extermination of the Kauravas that instead of rejoicing at the victory and installation as the king, that giving up his all, he decided to proceed to the forest. With great difficulty and through hard persuasion could Lord Sri Krishna, the great sage Vyasa, and others succeeded in making him agreeable for the coronation. Bhishma Pitamaha also tried to remove his remorse by exhorting him on matters relating to dharma, and he did rule his kingdom on receiving the counsel of Bhishma, but the feeling of remorse that arose in his heart due to the assassination of his kith and kin could never be totally done away with. And now on, having heard the news of departure of Sri Krishna to his supreme abode, he firmly decided to go to the forest. Enthroning Parikshit, the grandson of Arjuna, and deputing Krupacharya and Yuyutsu, the son of Dhritarashtra, as his caretakers, and taking with him his four brothers and Draupadi, set out from Hastinapura. Going around many countries with the aim of circumambulating the earth, he crossed the Himalayas and made his way towards the mountains called Meru. On the way, Draupadi and his four brothers dropped down dead one by one. Not caring for their fall, Yudhishthira proceeded on and on. Meanwhile, Indra, the presiding deity seated in his chariot, came to receive him and asked to ascend the chariot. Yudhishthira demurred, taking seat in the chariot, bereaved as he was for his brothers and the virtuous lady Draupadi, who regarded him as her life breath. He consented to ascend chariot only when Indra assured him that they had already arrived at the celestial regions before him. But he had with him a dog too, who had been accompanying ever since he started on the journey. Yudhishthira decided that the dog too should accompany him onwards. When Indra objected to it, he frankly told him that he was not ready to enter the celestial region, leaving behind his faithful dog. This dog was none else but Dharma himself, who was accompanying Yudhishthira in order to test him. Noticing this matchless affectionateness of Yudhishthira for those taking shelter with him, he revealed himself in his proper form and making Yudhishthira sit in the chariot in the company of Indra and other gods and celestial sages, entered the upper regions. On that occasion, celestial sage Narada said these words in his praise. Before Yudhishthira, none is said to have ascended the celestial abode with his physical frame. Ascending up, Yudhishthira looked upon the stars and planets as realms belonging to different gods. Still he said to Indra, the presiding deity, only this much. Take me to the realm where I should find my brothers and Devi Draupadi, for I shall find peace and there alone. Of what avail is the celestial abode to me where I may not find my brothers? Hail to such a love for one's brothers. Further on, he happened to come across the site of hell created through illusion by Indra, the presiding deity, and there he heard the sounds of moaning and groaning of his brethren. He also heard people say, Sire, stop for a while, you stay here, relieves us of the tortures of hell. Then he stopped there, and to the angel who led him to that place, he said, I must stop here. Since the creatures living here feel happy by my stay here, then this hell to me is far better than celestial abode. Hail to such compassionateness. Soon the sight disappeared, and Indra and other gods arrived there. All of them were very glad at the expression of such sentiments. They said to him, falsely you assured Dronacharya of his son's death. The sight of hell shown to you were also illusionary. All your brothers have arrived in the celestial realms. Therefore, Yudhishthira entered the supreme abode of the Lord, and there he had vision of Lord Sri Krishna in his same form in which he would see him previously in this mortal world. There he saw Arjuna also attending on the Lord Sri Krishna. He also came across Draupadi and his brothers at other places. At last he merged himself with his father, the embodied Dharma. Thus Yudhishthira attained supreme state by virtue of observance of Dharma. So marvelous was the impact of Yudhishthira's piety that the place he visited was permeated with piety. At the time when Pandavas were living incognito in the palace of kings, Virata, the Kauravas tried to trace him out. In that contest, grandfather Bhishma, who knew the glory of Pandavas, told them that the generality of the men where Yudhishthira would be staying must be generous in giving away charities, sweet tongue, exercising control over sense organs, and modesty by nature. They would be freed from such evils as spite, arrogance, envy, etc. That place will ever be echoing with the recitation of the Vedic mantras, yajnas would be performed. The place would be having rainfall at the proper time. That place would have abundance of grains and riches, and free from fear of all sorts and natural calamities, and the cows would be stout and innumerable. Moreover, as he had narrated above, even the dwellers of hell enjoyed peace and happiness in their association with him. King Nahusha, who had to take birth in the family of pythons on account of the curse of the great Rishi Agastya, and who had in that very form caught hold of Bhima in his clutches, sought emancipation from that form through the darsana of a conversation with Yudhishthira, and attained the celestial regions thereafter. The more we study the character of King Yudhishthira and dwell upon it, the more poised shall we become. Dharmo vividhrati Yudhishthira kirtanena. Dharma flourishes through singing the praises of Yudhishthira. When we listen to people and about their great qualities, we get the feeling of reviving that good nature and qualities which we already have within us. So let's all follow the path of dharma, for dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Take care. Next day we shall meet with how and know more about Arjuna. Sai Ram.